Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about negative and zero exponents. Once again, we're giving you a couple charts, and the original problem is x to the fifth over x to the seventh. We're going to start out with what we absolutely know, which is the expanded and the quotient rule. So let's look at this. If I expand this, I know it's 5x's as a product on top and 7x's as a product on the bottom. A little bit more work. And what I do is I'm going to cross these out, and I'm going to be left with something that's 1 over x squared. So I have x's left, but they just happen to be on the bottom. Okay, and so that's 1 over x squared. If I look at this in terms of the quotient rules, which is what we talked about yesterday, it's going to be the top minus the bottom. So the exponent on the top minus the exponent on the bottom, so x to the 5 minus 7. Well, that's going to give me x to the negative 2. I want you to look at this for a second. If we've got x to the negative 2 when we did the quotient rule, and when we expanded it, we ended up with 1 over x squared, my reduced is going to be both of those put together. Let's look at this bottom one. When I look at this bottom one, I'm going to expand it as well. And your goal here is to try to develop this pattern to see if you can make a rule for these things. Okay? And so then I'm going to have 5 to the 8th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? And when I go ahead and cross these out again, I'm going to be left with 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 to the 5th. If I do the quotient rule, I've got 5 to the 3rd minus 8. 5 to the 3 minus 8, which is 5 to the negative 5th. If I reduce this, what do I end up with? Well, I've got my 1 over 5 to the 5th, or 5 to the negative 5. I'd like to see if you can fill in these questions down here. What happens to the exponent of the final answer when the numerator is has a larger exponent? What happens if you leave your final answer as a fraction? Okay, so answer these questions and see if you can find some comparisons. And then I want you to write a general rule for this. Knowing what you know about what's up top, if I have 1 over x to the n, what do I know that equals? Let's look at this chart here. You're going to notice in my original problems I have the same exponent on top as on bottom. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand them. And then I'm going to cross out. And you're going to notice I'm left with nothing. Now it's not nothing. It's not 0. But there's no x's. So that means I have a fraction with the same thing on top as I have on bottom. So that's going to give me 1 over 1 or 1. If I look at this in terms of the quotient rule, I have x to the 5 minus 5 because it's the numerator or the exponent of the numerator minus the exponent of the denominator. So that's x to the 0. So according to this expanded and quotient rule, x to the 0 equals 1. Let's look at 5 to the 4th. 5 to the 4th is going to be 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 over 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. If I cross out, I seem to end up with the same situation, 1 over 1. Well, let's try the exponent rule for quotients to see what we end up with. 5 to the 4 minus 4, or 5 to the 0. So writing the same problem two different ways gives me 5 to the 0 equals 1. I want you to see what you can do with these questions. What happens to the exponent of the final answer when the numerator has, let's make this the same exponent, and what happens if you leave your final answer as a fraction? And then I want you to write a general rule for this. When x to the n is over x to the n. I also want to see two things here. So you're going to have two answers for that one. All right, so see if you can generalize those, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.